Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 132. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm really grateful to have you on the Trading Fanatic channel. As you know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. So actually this one, if you watched the previous weekly outlook, the analysis played out very nicely. We had some of those key levels broken, the market finally exited the range, it showed us some direction, and we had some great opportunities to also capitalize on. Unfortunately, I had a very stressful and busy week with exams and all of that stuff, which also caused me to not being able to fully focus, and as a result I took some pretty average trades. So actually I have a losing week this one. Although the market moved amazingly, I have a loss, which also made me think that I read this somewhere a while ago, is that you can be a great analyst. So you have probably learned technical analysis, you can identify the trend, you can identify key levels, you have your strategy and all of that stuff, and you're sure of it. But if you cannot focus and actually execute on your trades, be there to execute them flawlessly, make sure that you get involved in the moves, and pretty much being a trader, because there's a difference between an analyst and a trader. So pretty much then you're lost. All right, and this is actually how I felt this week. Because I was kind of sure of the analysis, and then I was seeing it play out, but I was like, bro, you are not involved in those moves, like focus. But then again, sometimes specific circumstances do not allow you to do so. So again, if you ever have this situation, I'm just sharing this with you as it's my experience, then don't beat yourself up over things that are not in your control. Okay, so learn to know what is controllable and make sure to just focus on that and let go of everything else. We have 2 weeks more in January, so let's focus and let's see what we can extract from it. Okay, so pretty much again we're gonna cover the market right now. I'm gonna show you my losses so you can of course learn from them. And if you are of course new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share this weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week I give my best to share an educational piece of content or a trading setups breakdown video. So make sure you're subscribed and turn on the notification bell in order not to miss when a video gets uploaded. And also I want to mention about a great broker, that is Forex.com. It is great for cryptos and also for stocks. It has great spreads, and also if you pick their commission account, which is called the eco account, for every lot that you trade, the commission goes towards planting 10 trees. Okay, so I do believe this is an amazing initiative and I support them on that. So make sure to check them out, right? Links for everything you can find down in the description, and also there are timestamps for each of the pairs. So make sure to check them out. And right now, let's get started. Alright, starting with our best friend, the Dixie. So again, make sure that you are aware of the previous weekly outlook, because there we covered the monthly time frame and pretty much the same analysis remains. I'm just going to focus right now on the weekly and of course provide you with some context. So again, we're having this overall weekly range that starts from here. It ended right there. Why does it end right there? Because we have a level on the left that the market tapped into, and currently it's withdrawing from it. Okay, so does that mean that the market is gonna turn bearish right there? We don't know, because this could be the level that is actually going to be, for example, from this big range, the market tapped 50%, and maybe this one is going to go for the lower lows. Do we know? No. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the market. Okay, but if we zoom in again, we can say that the market is still on the macro time frame bullish, because on the weekly we're bullish. Yes, if you go on the monthly you can figure different stuff out, but let's just say that we are currently still bullish on the week. But again, as we start to drop lower and lower, we're going to see that again the daily starts to turn bearish. But we expected this, because again we had this big leg, and in order for the market to continue going higher, it usually has to pull back. And there is our pullback. And if you remember in the last analysis, I had two levels. So the first one was this one, which actually got smashed. And then of course, right now, the second one that we can expect is this one. And currently we're traveling towards it. We just almost kissed it, but we didn't really tap. And I'm taking this whole range, which is like 3 days of selling and then a big buy. So this is how I'm going to drop this level out. Can we also go further down? Yes, we have this kind of range right there, a manipulation of the range, a break. So if you go even to a lower time frame, you can find something within this level. Okay, but pretty much right now, let's focus on the now. So what we can expect immediately after the market opens. So there are a couple of situations that we can have, because we're also coming with sellers from the top. So I'm just gonna drop these daily levels right here, and then I'm gonna drop to the main time frame, which is the 4H. Okay, so what I told you is again that we have kind of a couple of levels here. The first one is this big sell-off that later created a high. Right here we have pretty flat lows, and all of this is pretty much flat, which means that it can get taken out. So then we can actually come and retest this whole sell and then a big buy. Okay, so this could be another area. For now, just stay mindful of this level. Okay, but for now I'm gonna delete it and just keep to this one as it's the most recent. Okay, so what we have right now on the 4H is pretty much a massive sell-off. Again, we forecasted this move even from here. I told you that we have the shift right here. We had a break of structure, we had a beautiful retest, then we had a push, and then on Tuesday I said that we can expect a pullback. There is the pullback, and then from there we just plummeted to the downside. Okay, so right now the biggest question is the market going to fulfill, first of all, this daily range, okay, before tapping deeper into the weekly zone right here? Okay, because right now, as you can see on the 4H, we kind of tapped into the lows. We faked out the previous daily lows on Friday, which actually is what caused this bullish move. We broke structure, so right now we are in a counter trend on the 4H within this daily move. Okay, and it's really important to actually understand the time frames and how they work together, because again, we have this weekly move, we have this daily move, and then right now we have this 4-hourly move. So it's moves within moves, right? Have you watched the movie Inception? Something like this. And right now, what I would love to do is to see what's gonna happen. So we have two main scenarios. We can either pull back into the highs to create a lower high, so then we can have a beautiful sell into this weekly area, or we can just stop right here and then we can just rush into the lows, which is gonna be not the nicest choice, because then we can just start adapting and seeing if actually we're gonna have some longs from this area, or is the market just gonna fail and continue dropping lower, and then potentially all of this is maybe probably going to be taken out. Okay, so those are the two situations. Very simple, very simple. Maybe a third one could be that the market is gonna pull back right here, hold, create a higher low, and then push into the highs and create a lower high of the daily, and then potentially we can drop lower. Okay, so those are my three situations. And again, over the short term, so the 4H and the daily, I am bearish, but I always keep in mind the weekly time frame that is currently bullish. And if we actually happen to get into this level and into this zone this week, then it's gonna take some time potentially to see if the market is gonna respond from it and if we're gonna reverse into the highs. Okay, so Dixie is going to be very tricky. So again, make sure to focus, and as I always tell you guys, make sure to follow the flow. Okay, if you simply follow the 4H, you're gonna win. So what is the 4H doing right now? It's bullish. Okay, so if you have a pullback, take a long, ride it into the highs. But then if you understand also the daily, right, then you're actually gonna exit right here, because you know that this could be a lower high. So then you're gonna jump on a short. You're not gonna say, okay, 4-hourly is bullish, it's going for the skies. All right, so again, just to summarize, those are my three outcomes on the Dixie. Let's see how it plays out, and stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis on Telegram. Let's analyze EU starting from the weekly time frame. So pretty much again, if we just try to identify our last weekly range, it starts from here and ends right there. So let us drop the FIP just in case, like this, bang. Okay, so this is our weekly range. Just to give a little bit more context, so again, we are currently reacting from this little zone right here, and the market is pretty much holding from it, but it's way too messy. Okay, so I still believe that EU is going down, that this low is gonna get taken, and potentially we're gonna reach some of those zones right here. So overall, hard time frame, I am bearish on EU. But let's zoom in and let's see what is happening right now. So I do target this level right now. So the biggest question is, are we gonna reach for this weekly level, or are we gonna stop just at the 50% and then to potentially reverse and make a new lower low? So this is also how the DXY looked like. We have a couple of situations. So let's start dropping to the daily. Okay, so as you can see, this massive range that took from November all the way till January. So man, this was massive. But within this range, we of course had some great opportunities, and we have finally exited it with some very nice momentum. We just created a higher high, and right now we are pulling back. So again, similarly to the Dixie, as it was bearish, EU is bullish. And right now the biggest question is, so are we gonna pull back to create a higher low? So we're overall bullish right now. Tap inside, continue higher, tap into the weekly zone, similar to the Dixie, and then to potentially flush lower. So this will be the absolute textbook hard time frame analysis. So if this happens, then definitely it's gonna be textbook. But again, this is the market. We'll never know if this is gonna happen. So let's start zooming in again on the 4H to see what is going on. So again, a slight thing that made it a bit tricky at the beginning of the week was this wick right there, because if you remember, we analyzed that this was our hard low. So this one got faked, okay, but it didn't break with a body close. Remember, I even teach this in my free course. If you don't have a body close below structure, it's a fake. Okay, and still, if you even take those levels on the left, they were not broken. So this was not a break. And again, you can see what kind of V-shaped reaction we had right there. The market just stopped and boom, massively rejected, which really means that it just didn't want to go down. And then we just consolidated in the middle, and this was Tuesday long that I couldn't spot. And then we just continued going higher. I think I took a short. So my loss right here was a short. What I tried to do is, this was a push. This was a higher high right there. So I tried to take the market down below 50% so then I can long it. But the market stopped right here and exploded. So I took a kind of a stupid short right there. And then we just had explosion into the highs. I think I missed a long right there as I was in my exam room or something. So let's pretty much see what happens right now. We are bullish on the daily, and potentially I would expect the market to pull back into this zone or maybe into this big daily area, but we have 2 4-hourly areas within the daily. Okay, so this is where we can potentially expect the market to pull back and then to start heading higher for a new higher high. Okay, if we zoom in, we see that we had an overall 4H higher low right there. The market tapped inside, it reacted. It wicked the previous daily high, which is what caused the sell-off on Friday. And right now it looks like we are changing also the trend like this. So we can also identify this as a trend change like this. And currently, again, a couple of scenarios that we can expect. Again, just flowing with all the time frames. The first one will be a direct flush into this level. So then we can start analyzing and waiting for a shift and waiting to see if the market is actually going to go bullish, all right, and then targeting a new higher high. The second one is potentially a pullback, a hold right here, lower high, tap inside, and then potentially from here we again adjust. Okay, so the biggest question is, are we first gonna pull back to create a lower high and then drop lower, or are we first gonna flush and then start to build up for a long, or we can just open and we can just explode into this weekly zone? Okay, we never know, but those are the overall outcomes that we can have. Personally, I can drop this right now as my supply. It's pretty strong supply because it also took out this high right there. So eventually, if the market pulls back towards this area, it is worth dropping to a lower time frame to potentially look for some shorts. Okay, then shorting it into the lows right there, and then potentially start to evaluate for longs. But I also believe that with this momentum from Friday, we can just continue carrying on to the downside, and then from there we have to adjust and see if we can catch any longs. Okay, so this is pretty much my analysis. Again, keep in mind this is above 50% pullback, so it's enough for the market to continue dropping. And guys, if we actually reverse to the downside, all of this right there is gonna get taken out very nicely. So this one is just gonna flush to the downside. The biggest question is, can we just flush from here? Are we gonna seek a higher level right there and then to potentially get a very massive macro short? Okay, so again, stay in tune with the market, have those levels marked, and just flow with it. Okay, just follow the 4H. The 4H is currently shorter term turning bearish. Okay, although we're overall bullish. So again, if you have a pullback, lower high, take it, then drop right there, then wait for a shift, then take a long, then from here wait for a shift, take a short. It just goes like this, right? So if I very briefly, I just want to show you some of the trades that I took. So again, on Monday, can I actually delete my analysis right now? I would hate to do that. Hopefully you took note of it. On Monday, again, as I told you, I stick to my bias and I was looking for longs. Again, this was my level. The market pulled back and I started looking for longs. If I drop on the 15-minute, so on the 15-minute, we pretty much tapped the level right here. And what I saw is a market structure shift right here. So this was the lower high, this is a lower low, boom, the 15-minute broke. So this immediately told me, yes, we can potentially start reversing right now into the highs and start making new higher highs. All right, so then I tried to identify a potential level to enter. There was a little tricky situation right here. because the market was too bearish at that time. This is the 15-minute lower high before we broke it. So I wanted to take a long from here, but I said, bro, chill. Let's wait for a bigger confirmation. So right here, you can see that the market changed and flipped on the 1 minute. We tapped inside into the supply, but then we had this huge reaction to the downside. So I hesitated to take a long right here because it just wasn't ready. This was just a lower high, so we could have continued to go lower. And then you can see that on the 1 minute, this was a lower high, higher high, retest, higher high, retest. You could have taken a long, and if you took this one right there, probably a pretty tight stop loss right there, you pretty much nail a beautiful trade. But I waited for the 15-minute structure shift, and then what I said is, okay, cool, but where is the last level before the break of structure? I identified it as this one. So at this moment, I decided to take an aggressive entry, which is what I did twice this week, and I got burnt twice. All right, so this was the last area before the break of structure, but what we failed to spot is that there is a lot of liquidity staying in right here, and then we have this extreme level right here that also hasn't been tapped yet. Okay, so this is a little lesson that I learned. Again, you learn most from the losses, because I took 2 trades this week like this and got burnt on both. So I took it aggressively right here without waiting for the market to change, reacted, failed, reacted again, failed, and hit stop loss. So that was the first loss. And then I saw that, okay, cool, this one failed to make a new lower low. It respected this one. I didn't take this one right there. I waited for the shift. And then what I did is I entered on the retest. So my second entry was from right here. And then I tried to scale in, but I said, oh, chill, bro, it's Monday. Don't go too hard. Then this one almost got me stopped. I still remained in the trade. Then I had this massive pump to the upside, which was really looking good. But I was targeting a 1 to 4 into the highs right there. And this one was just 2.6R. So I didn't take any partials. And then as I was seeing it pull back right there, I just, after the market broke this low right there, I went break even. And yes, this was pretty much my Monday. So I started with a loss and with a break even. And then the market pretty much manipulated to the downside and made this huge candle, and then very sharply recovered into the highs. Okay, so this was my Monday. On Tuesday, I couldn't identify any setups. I also wasn't home. But then this one right here on Wednesday, so pretty much what I forecasted on Wednesday was this range right here, and I waited for the market to pull back below 50%, and I wanted to strike from somewhere right here. And I also spotted this little guy right there for a potential zone for entry. Okay, look at the reaction. So we just tapped and we massively reacted on the 15-minute. But let me show you, why is this a wick right there, a gap, I mean, I don't know. So let's actually zoom in on the 15 minutes. Okay, so it perfectly came in. You can just trade the 15-minute like this, but I wasn't home at that time and I was just monitoring at my phone. I was just about to start an exam and I was like, man, should I set a limit on this one and just let it go, just set a limit in TP? I didn't, because I couldn't actually monitor the chart, so I missed this beautiful trade. But very luckily, some of my team members actually got in this one. So this one just could have simply made my week. It was a nice tap into demand, a nice shift right there on the 1 minute, a very nice introduction of buyers just reacting from supply, pulling back, entry spot on, and then just targeting a 5-minute level. This was the 5-minute level, and this was a 5.6R. And then again, I got home around 1 o'clock or 1 something. So I jumped on the charts and I was like, well, okay, let's see. So again, I framed that the market is overall bearish. We still didn't pull back below the 50%. I was like, okay, let's look for some shorts, which was a mistake again, because overall the expectancy was the market to break higher, and a stupid trade that I took. So I was observing right there. So this was a little zone. So we had tons of liquidity taken. The market pushes down but fails to make a new lower low. Takes the liquidity again. Then again, we have this consolidation, manipulation above. We have a break, we have a retest, we have another break. So your guy decided to take a short. And this was just before the biggest news of the week. And this one just got me slapped as well. So this one is second loss for the week. And then what I spotted is that we pretty much like reacted from supply right there. Then we broke, and this also made a 15-minute zone, which I think looks something like this. And just before the news, like this was a beautiful setup that actually could have been taken. And then this one just rampaged into the highs, right? So I got a miss on this one and I got a loss on this one. And also a very similar loss on the next day. Let me see where it is. Yeah, this one was very, 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 very shitty. So if we just jump on the 15-minute, This day we just had the Asian range, massive expansion outside of the Asian range, and I was looking for a 50% pullback. There is our pullback. We had this manipulation lower in the 15, then we have this push higher, which failed to break the structure, but I still thought, yes, we are potentially gonna go for the highs. We have pulled back below 50%, so no shorts, bro. We go long, okay? But on this occasion, I became the liquidity right here. So pretty much there is this big range, pushing to the highs. We tapped 50% into the range right there. We changed the trend right there. So then we pull back into this big range, into this big sell. Tap inside 50%, which is what I usually need. And then I actually came at the charts around 2 o'clock again after exam, and I was like, okay, cool, longs, let's take a trade, man. And yeah, then actually the market continued higher, it broke structure, and then I considered this to be my entry zone instead of the lower one, which is the extreme, and this to be liquidity again. So I took it from here, quick loss. It tapped into this one, then it pushed, it didn't break structure, and I was like, no, bro, you shouldn't be trading right now. You're out of focus. Let's just protect your capital. And the bastard, then it just pulled back, it retested right here, this one, and went to TP, and my TP was just about to be at the highs, so I got burned on this one. Very stupid trade, which actually worked out, but it was just the entry, and sometimes it happens, it's perfectly fine. But of course it actually showed me some important lessons that I'm going to be implementing into my trading plan. All right, so hopefully guys you managed to learn something from those trades. I just covered them very quickly in order to focus on the analysis. So this is EU, and again, stay tuned for Tuesday and let's see how it's going to play out. Euro JPY, let's see what happened on this one this week. I do think it actually played out as expected. So what we were looking at is at this big weekly zone right here, which also caused a break of structure to the downside. Okay, so there is the break, it's with a body close as well. So we're pulling back right now, and the biggest question is, are we going to go for the low right there and to potentially retest some of those monthly levels that we potentially identified from last week? So this is overall the macro analysis. Okay, so I am overall bearish because this is what the market shows me right now. Dropping onto the day, so we tapped inside this level very nicely, and then we started to chop around. So the daily does not provide us with a lot of context, but if you drop to the 4H, what's that? Okay, some sort of a buck right there. What I also showed you, so we were bullish. This is the last break of structure, so this makes this our last higher low. The higher low got broken, then we retested beautifully right here. So this one was our first confirmation, and then we had a second lower low. So this definitely confirms that we are bearish. And then you can see actually the market used this again as liquidity. By the way, the market started faking the highs and lows quite a lot. EU usually did not used to do it. And as you can see from my trades, I got manipulated 2 times this week, and it's a new phenomenon. EU, EJ, the Euro pairs, usually GU has this characteristic, but all the pairs right now started to do this stupid stuff, right? Because pretty much this right now becomes our major lower high. It breaks structure, so it shouldn't really break, but you can see it pulls back, reacts, then fakes, right? But then it fails to break the major one right there. This is also major. And then you can see if you drop to a lower time frame, it provides you actually with a setup. If you drop on the hour, there is the fake, there is the break, there is the retest, same setup, and then we just continue dropping lower. So I really hope some of you managed to catch this beautiful short right there on EJ. So we have another break of structure on the 4H right now. This is the last level. So pretty much right now, this whole range could be a level that we can trade from. Okay, so pretty much what I would expect on this one is a retest and a continuation lower. We're also expected some longs on EU, but yeah, it still has a lot of space to pull back down. And if I just drop this bullish weekly range, what we can expect is at least a pullback towards 50% of the range. So if this market at first on market open pulls back right here and doesn't just plummet to the downside, then I do think this is a very high probability short. All right, but if we from here, if we start to push lower, then of course we can start thinking if the market is also not going to continue higher. But again, overall, as we explored, lower high, lower high, lower high, we can expect another lower low to tap actually into a monthly level and then to potentially start reversing from there, which is what we also expect on EU. Okay, so overall I am framing a short bias on EJ. My entry would be from here if we pull back, and if we don't, just keep following the structure and keep trading the lower highs. Okay, so that's EJ. Let's have a look at the Aussies starting from AU. So this one is a very nice pair. I have been forward testing it and just paper trading for now, but it moves very nicely. It's kind of similar to EU, but it's not as manipulative as GU. So I do think if you want a slightly more volatile pair than EU, this one is really good. So let's see what happened this week. Pretty much what we had is a sharp move into the highs. It manipulated above those highs right there, and then a very sharp recovery down. So this is slightly tricky right now to understand because this one actually caused a complete 50% pullback. So the biggest question is this pullback ready for potentially for a new lower low? Because overall, yes, this looks like a bearish market. It definitely is, right? Have a look how bearish we are, and this looks like a very nice push to the downside and a very nice and complex correction. Okay, but if you zoom in, the daily is still bullish. So this one actually caused a break of structure, which makes this our major high low, right? We can even drop it from this week because this one is the major one. What you can do is also highlight it like this. So this is our major range right now. So the biggest question is, are we gonna push into the highs from here, make a new high, and then potentially seek a higher level right here? Maybe on the weekly, we would like to go in all the way into the highs right here, or come and retest some of those levels right here. Okay, so this is what we have to see. So let's drop to the 4H to actually see what is going on right now. Yes, beautiful delivery on this one. So we were coming from this guy right there, you can see that, and we perfectly changed the market structure from here. This was a lower high, this was a lower low, we changed it, we pulled back, higher low, pushed a little bit into the highs, failed, but then we just came to retest again, and then we had this massive explosion to the upside. Very nice, very lovely. And then I was also looking for shorts actually on Friday on this one, because this one was the only pair that sorry, that broke the last higher low, which is this one. Then it gave us a little bit of a retest, but it didn't retest anything in particular, and for me, and then it just melted to the downside. So that was really good to see. So right now the 4H is slightly bit bearish, but we are in a bullish market. So as long as we remain above this level, right, we can even mark this one as our major one. Do I have a where is it? Yeah, like this. This is how I used to mark my major structure. So this is my major low, and this is my major high. So as long as we remain above this one, I am going to be bullish. I don't want to call sellers yet, but on AU, the detail is that we're already into demand, right? Well, some of the pairs are kind of in the middle, like this, so we can expect to pull back in a short into demand, while this one is already there, right? And this one could have been the first one, but it's already been taken. So what I can say is that we can even look at this level slightly bit deeper. So I am overall long bias on AU. Let's see how it's gonna play out. I would love to see another tap into the lows. Then I'm gonna either wait for a full hourly shift of structure, something like this right here, or a 15-minute one, and then to potentially start going into the highs. I'm gonna make sure to take some partials at this level because it's a very strong supply, right? And then to potentially see how are we gonna play. So this is my AU analysis, looking for longs overall. If we first again decide to immediately start pulling back, this could be a short into the longs as well, but I don't think this is gonna happen because we're already into demand. So if this one starts to pull back right now, that could be a little bit tricky, because then we can argue that it already tapped demand. So we can of course start expecting a new high. So let's see how it's gonna play. Again, overall bias is longs, but we have a couple of little details that we have to look into or wait for. Oh, I didn't delete my analysis right here, so let's delete it. Weekly on AJ, again, we have this push to the downside. It slightly looks a bit more bullish, this one, and I do think we actually explored this one in last week's video. We have a push, we have a pullback right now, so let's explore the daily, because the daily is actually what shifted. Yeah, so we had this high, then we shift right there, then this one is a lower high, and right now we have a new lower low. We're potentially going to be seeking this zone right there on the daily. On the weekly, it could be bigger. It can look something like this, let's say on the weekly. Let's maybe check it out. No, there is nothing on the weekly, so let's keep it to the daily. So yeah, potentially we are right now in a pullback scenario on AJ, then before continuing higher. But again, we never know, right? This could just be a high, this could be a lower low, this can be a lower high, and then we can of course go for a new lower low. So again, as I keep saying, don't try to forecast way too much, just keep going with the market. But of course, knowing where you are and knowing what the ranges are, it's gonna help you massively. Okay, so this one slightly looks different than AU. It's also tapping into some sort of a level, but it looks like it's already about to take it out. And yes, I will be looking for a lower retest on this one. On the 4H, we also have this little rally-based rally demand that could hold. But yes, if I actually look for the last area on this one, man, this has so many areas to trade. This one is one of them if you want to short, and this one is the other one right here at the top. Okay, let me drop it properly, maybe take this whole range like this. Okay, so if we decide, yeah, we can do two things. Also depends on AU. We can just flush to the downside towards these levels, and AU can also give us that push down into the demand. We can start initiating a pullback, so then I would have those two levels to play shorts from. Okay, and yeah, pretty much this one is slightly bit tricky. I like AU much more because AU is straightforward. It's actually more bullish than bearish. While you can see, although we have some flushes on both, AJ is in an overall bearish market. It even shifted from here. There is the 4-hourly shift, lower high, a new shift. So this one looks more bearish, while AU is more bullish. So again, JPY pairs, be careful. Okay, but this is my overall outlook. Those are the levels that I would be happy to play a short from. If you continue to go lower, then just keep following the structure, and of course be mindful of those two levels, because those are the higher time frame levels in this overall big range. Okay, and we just also tapped 50%, so who knows, maybe AJ is also going to reverse to the upside with AU. So let's see, right? All right, NZDs, I decided to keep them in because there were 2 or 3 comments that said that they trade NZDs. So of course, if there's even one, I am eager to keep it. So we're currently responding from this little guy right there, which is the demand. We massively pumped into the lows, which introduced a lot of sellers, and the market actually currently is bearish on the weekly. And yeah, if we zoom in, we have this huge consolidation. The market went into the highs, manipulated above, and rejected massively. So this one on the lower time frame is gonna look like a push and a pullback right now, right? So we can potentially expect a continuation higher. And if this market is actually bearish, it can at least pull back into 50%, but also if it's bullish, then potentially we can react from here and start reversing higher. So actually framing longs on this one, even if I look at both sides of the market on this short range and then overall this long scenario, longs are pretty much higher probability. So we came inside, consolidated, daily structure broke right here, which makes a new higher low formation, which could be this one. We can just take the overall range as I like to take them because it increases the probability. Right now we are pulling back already. So this one looks exactly the same as AU. There is the break and there is the shift. So we're currently pulling back, about to tap into the first zone that is right here. Second one is slightly bit below right there. So again, straightforward guys, we are already into demand. So I'm going to be very interested to see how this one is going to play. Potentially we can expect to tap inside this big zone. I'm then going to be waiting for a 15 or a 4-hourly change of structure. And then potentially I would just love to go long on this pair. Okay, partials right here because this is a very strong level. Right, this is where the market created a higher low, higher high, pulled back. It attempted to make a new higher high but failed, and then it dropped, and usually those levels are really strong. All right, so let's see. I do not expect this scenario because this one is already into demand. So if it starts to pull back like this, then again it already tapped, so we can expect a new higher high. But if this happens, then I do believe it's worth also playing a short, but the longs are a much higher probability. So let's see if we're actually going to tap inside deeper into this level, then just drop to a lower time frame, wait for the shift, and then your next target will be this higher high, right? And again, NJ, I like the Aussies. It looks a bit more different. We broke this low. This is the huge range that we have, which also just kissed the 50%. And yeah, this is gonna be tricky right now because on the daily we're already changing the structure. So again, we can expect this one right there, but this one, yeah, if I put this little guy inside this huge momentum to the downside, this one just looks like it's gonna get smashed. And we also have some pretty flat structure right there. So we can maybe just forecast that this one is bearish, which does not speak well of the bullish NZD USD. Daily time frame is down, 4-hourly time frame is down, numerous breaks of structures. We had this little level right here. That kind of got missed. If we take this whole range, yeah, then it got tapped. And this is why I have a lot of questions. I'm probably gonna do a video on this one, like order blocks and supply and demand and blah blah blah. I would prefer to take the whole ranges rather than just one candle, because you can see sometimes it just comes into the range and then it reacts. And if you just take it like this, even on the 15-minute, you're gonna miss a lot of trades. Okay, so we tapped inside, it resulted in a massive drop to the downside. So this again makes this new range a potential supply, right? And also we have a little bit right here in the middle. So what I would expect on this pair is again either a short from here or a short from there, which is exactly the same as AJ, and then a potential drop into the downside, which does not speak well of what we just broke down on NZD/USD. Okay, so again, let's see. It looks slightly tricky. The correlation is a bit off. Whoop, this is AJ. The correlation is a bit off between the JPYs and the USDs. So let's right now actually explore USD JPY and see what it's doing, so then we can frame a better bias from these ones. But overall, guys, the JPYs are looking bearish. So let's see how this is going to respond, and keep following the structure until you're wrong, which is right now bearish. All right, let's analyze UJ. So we're having a massive candle to the downside, and this is probably due to the news that we had this week. I didn't even have the time to look deeper into what the Fed testified. I think Powell was testifying one of the days. Then we had CPI, and then we had another one. I still haven't even done this, right? So we have a push into the highs right now. We're a very sharp pullback, it looks like. But is this actually going to be a reversal? Did we tap into something on the left? Well, yeah, kind of. So let's still maintain in this big weekly range. We're massively dropping below the 50%. Right now we're having a massive wick that is reacting from this massive wick on the left. So the biggest question right now is, guys, is UJ gonna continue going forwards and to the upside? Because if it does, all the JPYs that we just covered are also gonna go long, and NZD/USD and AUDs can actually go higher as well with more confidence. So yes, we're tapping inside this level. Overall, we have this little supply credit on the left as well. So let's mark it and let's drop to the 4H to see what is the situation. Well, yeah, we have very nicely tapped inside this level. And this level is really strong because this was really flatty, pricey right there. And this leg down manipulated everything with this wick. And then you can see we shifted structure and we continue to pump into the highs. And right now, it's very nice to see, because if you really zoom in, this was a lower high. And then we also, why am I on the 2-hourly? And this is also a break. Yeah, on the 4H, you can see how sometimes the hourly or the 2-hourly are gonna give you more context what is happening with my voice. And yeah, so we're having this little shift, and we can potentially expect that this shift could be the cause for the market to continue higher. But I would love to give it a little bit more time. Okay, so let's see how the market is gonna open. Let's see if it's gonna actually pull back towards this area, if it's gonna hold for a new higher low, and then if it's gonna go. And if this happens, then we can potentially see it go into the highs. The first target is gonna be this one. Then from here we can react, we can pull back higher low, and then this is gonna be the bullish case. Okay, the bearish case will be if we tap inside in reverse, or if we just plummet to the downside with some USD news that might be incoming into next week. Okay, so currently we're having that little shift of market structure. So right now it's really important to see if we're gonna pull back, if we're gonna hold above this low, which is not yet a major one, because in order for a trend to be established, you would like to see the last higher lower high being broken. Then you want to see a confirmed higher low. And what is a confirmed higher low? It's confirmed after a new higher high. Okay, so currently the market is right here. So we have broken below the last lower high. We're creating a higher high. Right now we need the pullback that is going to confirm that the market is going to hold. It's going to create this higher low, and then potentially after a new structure break, which is going to be this one, we can then potentially see the market as bullish. Okay, so let's give it some time. Keep mind of this levels, which is going to be a nice short level. And yeah, let's see if this level is going to hold, and if we're going to have some bullish interaction, which is also going to cause the JPYs to go higher, which is going to boost further, for example, AUD/USD and NZD/USD into the upside. All right, let's analyze the GBPs starting from GU. So very massive bullish week on this one, and we're coming all the way up towards the last candle right there, the major weekly lower high formation. So let's see if this is actually going to be the cause for the market to continue and make a new lower low, which is going to be a massive trade, if of course it happens. Right now, like, we have this massive dump to the downside and the market shifted, and it's been going up for quite a while, just kind of pulling back for one day. You can see one day wick, one day wick, one day wick right there, and then we just continue pushing higher. We have retested weekly zone. We have also just tapped a little bit into this daily supply, and right now we're already responding from it. So let's have a look at this response, because if we start dropping lower, we have to start seeing some structure shifts. Again, with GU, this can very easily come above to manipulate this one and then to potentially flush. And currently my last higher low, I would say it's this one. We also have this one right there, which hasn't been tapped as well. So there are a lot of buy zones. So I am going to give more time to GU to decide where it actually wants to go. Okay, because we're tapping into this very massive weekly and daily level, but usually it doesn't just tap and go. Right, I do believe we can have a tap inside this one, manipulate higher, then reverse, and then to potentially start seeing the shorts. Okay, so let's see if we actually look carefully into it like this. Yeah, this is not a lower high. These candles never pulled back to the downside, so I would not count this one as a higher low, because then we pushed higher, we pull back. We can say that it actually retested this level, then it pushed, then this is our shift, and then this is our move lower. So a lot of us can actually look into this one right now to short, but I do think it's a bit too early. Okay, for me, I would really love to see those levels fail before I start calling any shorts. So let's see, actually we can take a little long from those levels, either from this one or from this one right there, depending on how you approach GU, right? Then wait for this high to get taken. And then from there, I think if we actually get deeper into the zone, if I just tap like this 50% and just drop a little line. Yeah, this one still has more upside potential, right, to further come inside this whole zone. So let's see, okay? But my outlook on GU right now will be a potential tap inside this level, reaction, a new higher high, and then from there, we're gonna perfectly wait for the market to break full hourly structure. And then of course, guys, don't try to be the first at the top. Okay, because if this top is actually valid, if it's gonna cause the market to reverse lower, we are gonna have a big downtrend. So you're gonna be able to get into those moves. Okay, so don't stress, right? Maybe just take an aggressive trade from here, have a 60 pip stop loss, and then you can see at the downside it's 128 for 6,000 or 600. Yeah, this one doesn't really make sense, because you can drop to a lower time frame and get much bigger reward. But yeah, enough fantasizing. This is my outlook on GU, guys. I am going to be giving it more time for it to reverse, but potentially we can start expecting some sellers coming in, but we are still overall bullish. So let's see. Oh, my analysis is still here, so let's delete it. And weekly time frame on GJ, massive pump into the highs, tapping inside these wicks right there. Absolutely the extremist level that it can tap, and it also tapped it more than 50%, which is great. But yeah, again, still we're in this range because the market failed to break the lows, and it also broke the highs, so it's overall bullish still. So this one is very tricky. And yes, we're currently also tapping inside this daily demand that is still haven't broken. So guys, if this one actually fails, then we can say that we can go bearish if this one fails, okay? Because this is daily. Right here, this one did not break above, so we cannot say that this is a higher low, because it's not, because it did not cause a break of structure. So I'm only gonna go short on GJ if this one breaks, okay? But we can see it on the 4H. Again, we had this break of structure, then the market came inside this one. It came inside a couple of times. So first, it did make a lower low. Then it pulls back, manipulates, then again it changes. We had a similar occasion on EJ, I think. Then it shifts, then it pulls back, then this is a lower high right here as well, and then we push lower, we create a new lower low, right? So then our last lower high becomes this one where we can trade it from. And yes, if you pretty much want to go bearish right now, then feel free to do so, because we're having the full hourly shift. But yet I would really love to see the daily level being broken as well, okay? So what could happen is that we can have something like this right now, a potential manipulation higher. Also GU can go higher first, then potentially to seek the shorts. But of course this could be a potential short. And then if we break this level, only then guys, I'm going to confirm that potentially we're going to see a bearish market, because this is the major daily demand. And if this one breaks, then potentially we can see a downtrend. Okay, but overall in the 4H, I hope you managed to capitalize on some of those shorts that were pretty clear, and let's see how we're gonna play for this week. But overall, we're still in the range. The market is still about to decide what it wants to do, so give it some time. Okay, but then just make sure to follow the full hourly structure. And honestly, this one right here is the last structure, so if this one breaks, we really have the chance of it pulling back then and pushing higher. So again, stay mindful and don't marry your bias too much. And let's have a look at GA. All right, this analysis pretty much still remains the same, but we did not pull back into our expected area. Let's drop on the weekly. Yeah, we had this massive leg up. The market just created the wick lower. And again, yeah, framing it from the monthly even, we can expect this high to be taken. So for those of you that are riding GA shorts, this looks really good. Okay, we just stopped right here. We can explore what is in there, maybe something on a lower time frame, nothing too much. And then we just changed the structure, and right now we're already on the move higher. I don't know GA. I don't know if it's possible for this pair to do something like this right now. Could be, depends on AU as well. But if you ask me how to analyze this one right now, did it already break the high? Yeah, so it already took the high. So this one is tricky, because if it's already taken the high, it's not a body close, but then we can classify potentially this one right now as a major high low. Okay, so what I'm gonna say is that this pair is overall bullish. So if you pull back right here, then feel free to take a long, okay? But just be mindful that we can also pull back right here. And if it tops right there, again, feel free to take a long, okay? And don't listen to me, because I don't trade GA, and I'm not an expert in it, but this is how I'm going to be looking at this pair, because overall we framed it from the monthly, that is bullish. So potentially we can expect this level to be taken, and we have quite some space towards it, okay? And Euro GBP, pretty much, yeah, the same analysis still remains. Like we have this massive weekly leg, which we can slightly expand to the downside. On the daily, nothing new, still ranging. On the 4H, we still have this kind of major lower high. But yeah, the market actually created, yeah, you can go into details right now and you can say, okay, cool, well, this is a lower high right there. But this one, why? Because it made a new lower low. So this one is right now broken, and we can say that this one is slightly starting to look a little bit bullish. But for me, I would really love to see a nicer introduction of buyers, pull back, clear structure. Okay, so this is what I want to see in order to call this pair bullish. So then we can potentially start pulling back towards these zones, which is above 50% on the weekly leg. Okay, so Euro GBP wants some time, so let's give it. And yeah, pretty much the clearest pair right now is GU. It's slightly tricky again, because again, as I told you, it's still bullish on the daily and on the 4H. It's tapping into supply, but I still think we can have some more upside, and maybe even GU is gonna love to take this high before reversing. Who knows? This is GU, so give it some time. GJ is showing some reversal signals, but again, don't trust this one too much. Have a look at this big move into the highs and have a look at the correction. All right, so we can just say that this is the push. This is a very complex correction in order for the market to continue climbing higher. So let's see, and again, just follow the 4H and don't marry a bias. There is nothing too new to analyze on gold. To be honest, we're still stuck in this overall range, right? Overall, this kind of triangle. We had a lot of news releases, a lot of speeches as well, but it still looks like this one is waiting for something. On the daily, we're still kind of stuck within this range. Like we had this market respect, and then we had a drop lower, and right now this is pulling back inside this level. If this one holds, then of course we can expect the market to drop lower into this demand. I was just looking at this supply as well that I haven't spotted before, but it's not really major because it did not cause something too major, right? It just went to liquidity grab below these lows right there. So yeah, pretty much gold for me is still an unclear picture. If you wish to short it from here, then wait for the full hourly to change. So where is our last higher low? Well, yeah, this one just wicked. But yeah, if we actually break below this wick, so if we have something like this, break, then we can have a retest, hold, push lower, then we can expect some shorts on gold. But yeah, overall, this is it. It's starting to build pretty flat highs right here, which can definitely get manipulated. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, to be honest, on gold, it is totally unclear for me. So I'm staying on the sides until something clear comes in, and until also the fundamentals align and everything. Because yeah, currently people are kind of doubting if they should put their money into the dollar, on gold, or what. So we can see how this one is actually reacting. So give it some more time, guys, and of course let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's have a quick look at the indices and also some cryptos. So still US30 is within its weekly range. It had a week of pullback. We're pretty much, yeah, we stopped right there. We tried to push into the highs, but right now we're back into the lows. So we are yet to see if the market is actually going to retrace lower into those zones, which could be a great buy. I do think it's going to do. Stocks keep falling right now, to be honest. Especially S&P, some other stocks are falling right now. With the dollar news as well. So pretty much this low, it just got faked by a little bit. And currently also the 4H is kind of changed. So we tapped inside, we reacted, we pushed, then the market should have potentially respected from here, but it didn't. It very sharply went into the downside. So potentially I do think we can have one more lower high, one more flush to the downside before we potentially can start seeing some bullishness also aligned with technicals and maybe some economic events. We're also starting to have some earning releases as well from different companies for Q4. So this can of course give us some boost. So right now the market is kind of pessimistic, but as the news start to come out and the earnings, then we can of course see some potential moves. All right. So NASDAQ as well, it almost came into the level. So with massive indecision this week for this pair, for this index, I should say. Yeah, it very sharply broke below, then it pulled back, and right now it's back into it again. So it's really crucial to see how this level is going to hold. Why? Because this level is pretty strong, because you can see it made a lower high right there. It tapped inside, then it failed to make a new low, then it shifted. It came all the way down to this level right now, and we can see a very minor structure shift right here as well. So let's see if it's gonna hold from here and if it's gonna buy. I do think this was a great opportunity to potentially test out a buy on NASDAQ. So let's see how the tech stocks are gonna do on this one. I do believe this is a great dip. So from the top, we have overall dipped 10% on this index, which is very nice, and we have very nicely also pulled back like this. I think it's in the golden pocket, this one, normal FIP, yeah, 61.8, almost 705. So yes, it looks like buys. The probabilities are starting to increase for potential buys on NASDAQ. So let's see how this one is gonna go. S&P, I stacked some on it down there, and it also caused a shift of structure right here. So right now it's tapping into this one. So it's really important to see how this one is also gonna hold. Okay, so we're currently following the flow. Push it to the highs, higher high, pull back, higher low. Right now we changed substructure on the 4H. So right now let's see how it's gonna hold. Okay, it already tapped, it already reacts, and with all the earnings that are going to be released, I hope S&P, sorry, I hope S&P can start actually pumping into the highs. If not, we're gonna get it much cheaper down there. So let's see. BTC, it's just kissed the lowest low right there. So it's really deep. It's really deep right now. Just tapped 40K, right? Even a little bit below. So let's see how this one is gonna hold. And if we break below this one, then this is gonna expose further downside. So I'm very curious to see how this one is gonna go. I haven't bought Bitcoin in a while. And I don't want to go to analyze right now the 4H, because for me, in order to become a buyer, I would like to see a daily shift, right? Because the 4-hourly shifts, you get them often, something like this, but then it just keeps dropping. Okay, we can say that we also have one right now, right? We had the supply flip right now, a retest, and you can say, all right, I'm gonna go long from this wick right there or something like this, and then you can just get smashed, for example. So wait for it. Wait for a little bit of introduction of buyers, and yeah, keep shorting it or keep buying it lower. Depends on your style. If you're trading Bitcoin, keep shorting. If you are investing Bitcoin, keep buying. Keep dollar cost averaging, which is also what I do. I bought Ethereum, by the way. I bought it on Sunday. Sunday was the 9th. So yeah, I bought it from here. Actually, it was late in the night. I was seeing it drop further, and I bought it from around 3k, somewhere right here, 3k. It went on a little run into the lows, right? So yeah, I haven't bought it as with margin and with leverage. I just invest in those things. I'm not trading Bitcoin, and I'm not trading indices as well. But I find it more relaxed to actually be invested in those. So yeah, I'm already invested in this one. And yeah, so let's see how it's gonna go. We're holding currently at this level. If this one actually fails to follow through, we can actually expect this one to break, which is then gonna expose a 22, which is gonna be another amazing buying opportunity. So let's see, with all of those projects, NFPs as well being backed up by the Ethereum technology, I'm quite bullish on this one. I am not really into those meme coins and the altcoins as well. I prefer to stick to the majors because those are kind of the most valuable assets, if I can call them that, and all the other ones are just get rich quick things, which of course if you get lucky you can get it, but yeah, this is not how you pretty much become rich, right? It's a fantasy, and it's happening like 1 in 100,000, or I don't know the data. All right, so this is how I'm gonna wrap up this analysis, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and you found it valuable. If you did, make sure to leave a comment and leave a like. Stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis on Telegram. The link is down in the description, and I wish you a very relaxing weekend and a crushing week ahead of you. We have 2 weeks left of January, so make sure to focus, and let's end it up in a positive note.